So, this is probably the 1 millionth quote review of the Kawasaki Ninja 400, and this is my wife's Ninja, and I'm going to do my best to not use terms like beginner bike, because I don't want to put this bike in a box. As you can see, it's got plenty of get up and go for a 400. It's a fun little bike, my first impression. And I want to say right off the bat that I think Kawasaki really planned ahead with this bike. And the reason I say that they planned ahead is they've left so much room for customization. Absolutely everyone's starting to make parts for this thing now. And there's just so they made it a bike that you can grow into, a bike that you can customize, and a bike that has longevity about it as far as the parts that it can be accessorized with, and also the other scooter, and also the its performance too. She got the gray and orange ABS model. We've had it. It's actually due for 600-mile service right now. And I've not put a whole lot of time on this behind the bar of this bike. So this really isn't a review, nor is it really a first impression, because I have ridden it a couple times before. Not a lot, like maybe 10 miles or so. So this is going to be the longest ride that I've taken on it and how I really feel about it. So I will start off by saying it's a fantastic bike, fantastic machine, absolutely, without a doubt, no question. I mean, great bike. I think Kawasaki did a great job, and I think Kawasaki really attempted to make a statement with this bike. And I don't want to say, oh, it's for the beginner market, or the beginner bike market. There are things that they have done as far in the parts that they've put on this bike out of the box that are good for a beginner, good for someone who's not used to the way that a clutch on a bike feels. One thing is that, the beginner slipper clutch there, that beginner clutch, which is also a slipper clutch, which is, awesome that they're putting a slipper clutch on an entry-level bike. When they, while they've done that, they've also put other things on the bike that I don't necessarily think are good for a beginner. One thing is actually the tires. The rear tire of this bike has a very odd profile. It's a 150/70, I believe, which the norm that I've seen out of Pirelli and Metzler is 150/60. So with that taller profile tire, when the bike starts to tip into a corner, it almost feels like it's in free fall for a second until you really know what you're doing with the machine. And to someone who is not as experienced and has an expectation of what a lean angle is going to feel like when they get down into it, that might be a little daunting. It might be a little bit overwhelming at first until they really get used to it. However, that tire profile is also such a help whenever it comes to this bike's agility. This bike is so light and so agile in turns. It's just so flickable back and forth. That it's a blast to flip back and forth. It's a blast to ride, and it's just a great little overall package. As far as the ergonomics go, I mean, I'm 6'1" on a good day, 6'2" with boots maybe, and I'm a little scrunched on the bike, I'll say. I will say this, not so much as far as my knees and stuff go, but my feet feel, I don't have a lot of room behind me. My heel is hitting against the can and the heat shield on the exhaust, which I think was kind of an overall complaint from the other videos that I'd seen. But then again, I mean, there are much taller riders riding this bike. I think one of the fellows from Revzilla that rode it, he's 6'3" or 6'4", so he's a tall guy. He's taller than I am, and I don't think he had any problems. I'm also a fat kid, so that had a little bit to do with it. what do I think that this bike is meant for? Or who do I think this bike is meant for? Honestly, any rider of any demographic and any skill level can enjoy this motorcycle. Without a doubt, absolutely wholeheartedly enjoy this bike and have a blast on it. It's got enough power to keep up with, you know, bigger bikes and twisties and curlies. It's going to be, my wife's going to track this bike, and I hope to be able to ride it on the track as well to get a good feel of it. But I think it's going to be a phenomenal little track bike, and it would be a perfect B-bike, you know, to back up. You know, one of the things about it, Kawasaki, they put your clip-ons up here on top of the tree, but at the same time, they've also given so much room underneath of the clamp for, you know, like aftermarket clip-ons, it almost looks like. So, you know, maybe just drop it, lower it just a hair, and then put your aftermarket clip-ons underneath, and you know, you're definitely down into a more an even sportier position, because the ergos in this bike, I mean, it's pretty comfortable out of the box. But you know, for that track and that aggression, getting that down into that tuck, it will definitely be a chore, and your wrists are going to be up in your chin if you don't get down into a little bit better of a tuck. The power band on this bike, pretty linear. It kind of picks up a little bit right around half mass, or half scale. So around that 6,000, 7,000 RPM, it kind of gives you a little bit more pickup. But overall, you know, it's not gonna, that 400cc is not going to overwhelm you by any stretch at all, and you'll be definitely pleased with the power that it's got. The sound that this bike has out of the box is also a fantastic little sound. You know, it's hard to beat this package. You know, you get a beautiful little bike, which the front styling, it kind of is indicative of that, I guess, the direction that the Kawasaki's are taking, which I hope that the ZX10 and I hope the ZX6s do not take this direction, because they're beautiful bikes as they are, especially the ZX10. But that really pointed nose cone with the front tilted headlights and you know, kind of resembling of the H2, you know, the Ninja 650s, they kind of look similar to this bike as well, to the 400. LED headlights out of the box, perfect. ABS out of the box, fantastic. The assist clutch, the beginner assist clutch, flipper beginner assist clutch, out of the box. But dude, that bike just wants to fall in a turn. It's so agile. I can't say enough about its agility. And then Adam Wahid did a video, and he was, you know, tearing up. I think it was Sonoma Raceway, and then even on the street. Motorcycles Magazine did a review, great review on it as well. And they were, you know, just talking about how fantastic of a bike it is, and you know, I don't want to mirror and just mimic what they're saying, but as you ride the bike, it's really a great little bike. The mirrors are pretty functional out of the box, albeit hideous. But once again, Kawasaki's looked forward and looked ahead with this bike. Those mirrors are ridiculously easy to remove, so you can get to the track. 2 bolts, bam bam, each side, and you're good to go. You know, they're looking long term, and also functionality. You know, that someone wants to go buy a bike, and you hear all the time, oh, I went and bought a 300 and I got rid of it after 6 months or X months or a year. And to me, that bothers me, because there's no way that everyone, unless you are tracking it every weekend, unless you are really wringing that bike out and taking advanced training courses with it, you know, you are an advanced rider, there's no way that you have unlocked every bit of potential that that bike can teach you in that little of time. I don't care. Power-wise, if you think that you have unlocked the bike's potential just because you banged it off the rev limiter in 6th gear on the interstate, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed by what you think you know on that bike. That's just not how that's not the way that motorcycles are designed. There's so much more behind them. There's so much you can do at 20 or 30 miles an hour with a bike that you can learn from and really experience. So I don't think that that's an educated statement for the most part that you hear. You hear a lot of that a lot of people on the street, they talk about, oh, well, I already, I've gotten tired, I've gotten bored of that bike. Well, maybe you need to reevaluate what you're doing on the bike, because I've ridden, my first bike was a 600. I've got another 600 right now, and this bike's fun. I absolutely think that this bike's fun. So I have nothing but really good things to say about the bike. And like I said, I've tried not to cater this overview and my opinion to a beginning rider, but rather to all of us out there that ride motorcycles, that really enjoy whatever we ride, and enjoy just riding, and appreciating the fact that each bike is a tool for a different purpose sometimes. And sometimes you can have I want to show the agility of this bike real quick. This turn's a nice, decent little turn. I mean, look at this thing. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a blast to ride. If you don't think you can, that was a 6th gear pull from 40 miles an hour. I mean, it wasn't the kind of torque that's going to put your hair on fire, but it gets up and goes. I'm a 260-pound guy, and this bike can, it's just a great bike. Great bike. So this is really the only, I guess I'll talk to those of you who are out there that are thinking of getting into this, into motorcycling, that are considering a sport bike, that want to get something that you can learn on while also growing into, and maybe have for a good long while. And I guess my time frame to own would be years, not just months, but years, 4, 3, 4, 5 years. And this is also assuming that you want to progress in motorcycling, and you just don't want something you can putt around on. But even then, this is probably going to be one of your top choices in the category. The safety features, the ABS, the slipper clutch, the LED lighting, front and back. It's hard to beat this package. It's absolutely very difficult to beat what Kawasaki has done here. And before we got this bike, we were actually thinking about getting my wife an R1, and then Kawasaki, came out with this bike, and we thought, hey, let's look at it, So we went and looked at it, and then, my wife saw it, and I think she fell in love with it then, and we ended up getting it. So it's worked out very nicely, and it's a great commuter bike. Say for me, it's a fantastic little commuter bike. But it's the same thing. With all that being said, weekend warrior, I think this bike will be fantastic on the track. I don't think I would necessarily take these tires on the track. The OEM tires that come on it from the factory, like I said, that profile is just a little goofy. I would actually wanted to reach out to the Motorcyclist Magazine guys and Revzilla, or whoever, Adam Wahid, whoever I could get a response from, and ask what tires they put on those bikes that they rode around the track. If they were Dunlop Sport Max, I think, which is what's on the bike from the factory, then obviously it's a decent tire, because those guys are going to be able to push the tire a lot worse than I can on a track. They're much more experienced, much better riders than I. Still speaking to beginners about the power, and those who are a little unsure, if they're not sure they want to get into a motorcycle or not, this bike is not going to overwhelm you. It's a very smooth power delivery. It's torquey enough that it can get you, if you aren't experienced with shifting and getting into the right gear, pre-turn, that as long as you're not going, 10 miles an hour in sixth gear, you'll be okay. It's got torque that it can, you go into a turn that's one gear off, you can still get pulled through that turn, and it's okay. You'll make it through. You'll be all right without getting too scared. On the flip side, it doesn't have too much power in the top end that it's going to overwhelm you and feel like a rocket ship taking off underneath us. It's not designed for that. It's not going to do that. You will be absolutely fine on this. Keep a good head on your shoulders, and this is going to be a definitely fun bike to keep, to grow into. And then even if you decide, oh, I want something bigger for the track or bigger for something else, keep this thing as your daily, as your computer. I mean, this is a fantastic little package, and I highly recommend it. With all of the credibility that I lack in the motorcycle world. I mean, just being Joe Schmo on the street, I think it's a great bike. But if you're looking to get into motorcycling, Ninja 400 is a solid option. If you have been in motorcycling, Ninja 400 is a solid option. If you were once a motorcyclist and you want to get back into it, but you're unsure of how far you want to go into it or how serious you want to get with it, go test ride one of these things if you can, if you have that option, if you have that outlet. I think I'm going to wrap this one up with that sunrise there. If you like the video, press the like button, subscribe to the channel. I don't have a lot of videos up, but I'm working on that to get more. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm getting ready to plan to go to the track. I've got to get the bike ready. I want to get out a video on my wife's Scrambler, the Scrambler 62. Might not help a lot of folks out because I don't think they make the Scrambler 62 anymore for 2018. But maybe try to use one if someone's thinking about it too. Let me know. Leave a comment if you have any questions. If there was something that I didn't cover on the bike, I would be happy to address that and answer any questions that you might have, any concerns, any complaints, anything like that. Just let me know in the comments. I appreciate everything. Thanks. God bless.